welcome back. We're mid-fight. Mid-Jinjahad fight. We're gonna... Jindahad fight. We're going to finish up this fight, hopefully, here soon. And then we will move on to the next mission, which is going to be the one from the Wudwud. I gotta fight a Palm, or what I call it, Kiyaku, or Yonkaku, rather. Yeah, I was talking in the last episode about AI, and I'm not really sure what to believe about it, because on the one hand, you know, again, ignoring economic, you know, questions about, well, what happens when you've made stuff so efficient that you don't necessarily need people to process invoices anymore, or you don't need to do all of this excess paperwork, and you can, you know, basically reduce, say, your accounting department from, you know, 5 people down to 1, or even say from 5 to 2 or something. And then the question is, will it do what it's supposed to do, or is there a lot of promises being made about the you know, how competent AI is in order to sell the service to businesses? And I don't know that answer. So, because at the end of everything, everybody's trying to sell you something, or they're trying to convince you of something. So, I'll give you an example. If you see someone talking about, you know, this really great product that'll help you, you know, they're here to sell you something. Whether or not that product does what they say it will do is important for you, the consumer, but for the man or woman who's selling it to you, it does not matter if it works or not. You just have to believe that it works, and in doing so, they have your money. And, you know, I get it. You know, there's a certain amount of money we're willing to put down and say, okay, I'll give this candy bar or this box of cereal a try, and if I don't like it, I'm out $5-10, okay, or $2, or whatever you're buying. But then there's other times where you buy stuff like I don't know, a television, and you know, you're in some ways, unless you're buying something sort of more conservative, i.e. something that you know is going to work for you, everything's sort of a risk in that regard. So, you know, you buy a brand new television set that's, you know, 8K, you know, it's got all of the bells and whistles on it, you spend a good penny on it, and but, you know, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year from now, something inside the TV breaks, and you're out a couple $1,000s, because, you know, you can go get it repaired. Yeah, it's particularly if it's something simple. But if it becomes anything complicated, or anything to do with your, you know, power going to the LCD, LED screen, that the screen is so the screens are so damn expensive that, you know, like, for example, my sister broke the screen on her laptop, and it was actually about the same amount of money to try to repair the screen, which I think is bullshit. I think it's a bullshit excuse. But it was roughly the same amount for her to replace her laptop as it would be for her to take the computer in, have someone work on it, which they're going to get paid for their work. They're not just going to do it for free, and the cost to replace the actual screen. Fuck me. Okay. I don't see anything for me to hide behind. I should have probably done that. Up. Alright. Managed to survive that. Okay, that's cool, I guess. I should have, yeah, dropped that for hiding rubble, exactly. Had 3 different areas that I could have hidden in. I don't know. Whatever. Nope, move just head. I'm just too slow. that's sort of the thing about, I don't know, it sort of scares me. I'm not much of a conservative when it comes to a lot of things. You know, money is usually one that I'll be more conservative with. You know, like if I'm going to invest my money, I'm going to invest it somewhat aggressively, but also somewhat, you know, safely. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go and invest in Bitcoin because I personally feel Bitcoin's too risky. Would I invest in like a new company that's got sort of a low entry price? Yes. Would I invest in a brand that I use and recognize and think does a good job? Yes. You know, depending on how many shares I can buy. But the technology thing, sometimes when they talk about it, it's a bit scary. And I don't know if it's just fear-mongering, if it's, you know, I'm just talking about this to get your attention. I just woofed. I just farted. There, that's not great. But again, I don't know if it's people just fear-mongering, try to get you to watch their videos on YouTube or wherever, or if we're getting to that point where we are only a few years away from a truly self-learning super computer mind, you know. And you know, one of the things, and this is 25 years old, roughly 25 years old now, but back in the early 2000s, there was a lot of talk about the Human Genome Project being near completion. You know, the use of stem cells to alternate or improve upon, you know, humanity, you know, to use the stem cells and use the research to improve upon humanity. And one of the things that you can easily get stem cells from, at least at that time, was, you know, essentially a zygote, which is, you know, fertilized egg, and you could use that as a stepping point for getting the stem cells, because that's where the stem cells are. They are the cells which are inside a fertilized egg. As it matures, those cells start to split, and then those are stem cells, and those cells become all kinds of different things, whether they be your bones, your organs, nerve tissue, brain tissue. That's how you go from being a singular celled organism. Well, I guess once the sperm, I guess you're multi-celled at that point, but once the egg is fertilized, you go from this tiny speck to being a full-fledged, full-functioning human being, you know, with lungs and heart and skin and bones and brain and, you know, everything, you know, that you need to survive. So okay, whatever. Not die though. It's sort of what I was originally trying to get at. I went on sort of a long tangent. Is this concept of you have to be aware that everybody that is talking to you is trying to sell you something. They're either trying to sell you an idea or they're trying to sell you a product. You have to be very aware, and you have to be cognizant that whatever is coming out of people's mouth, particularly if it is on the internet, there's an angle, there's something there that they are trying to accomplish. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That doesn't mean that every person on the internet that talks or tries to sell you something is a bad person. But ultimately, to give you an example, say you have a YouTuber, they have a cooking channel, or they have a carpentry channel, okay? Their job, at least in terms of YouTube, is to entertain and inform, okay? There's nothing wrong with entertaining and informing you, provided that, they're not trying to do you harm or deceive you. But that's their job, is to inform and entertain, and they make money through advertising on their videos, okay? But as they get more popular, there may be better, stronger forms of revenue out there for them to do. And a great example of that, particularly with carpentry or cooking, is that they could create their own cookbook, brand. Or they could start their own web page and sell you, Chris's carpentry tips, and, here's how to build your own bookcase, or here's how you build a deck, And can you get that information elsewhere? Yes. But I'm trying to open myself up to a new form of revenue that is maybe more lucrative than, say, what I'm making on YouTube, which for me, I'm making nothing because I don't have enough subscribers or views, etc. It's beside the point. But again, what I'm trying to say is, and this is something that, we're very, very, in America, we're very skeptical of those who run our government, When it's election time, we want that person that represents who we are. We want the outsider that's going to come in and drain the swamp and shake up Washington. And, at the end of the day, they are one of, 400 and some House of Representative members, or one of, roughly 100 other senators that... and ultimately they make up a percentage of that representation. And, obviously you want to get someone who's not, you want to try to get somebody in there that does, basically try to best represent your state or your area, so that your voice is being heard, at least ideally in, in government, it's being somewhat portrayed, even if, say, 59 or 51% of people believe this, and 49% of the people believe that, and sometimes that person's going to vote with 49, and sometimes that person's going to vote with 51%. It just is what it is. Okay, I'm sorry. You're not going to get the perfect candidate every time, because you're going to have different people with different point of views and everything else. But I don't know. People, we like when people give their opinion on stuff. That's fine and dandy. You don't have to agree with those people. You don't have to like those people necessarily, because ultimately that is their opinion. I just really try to balance my response to the way people, hooray, we killed him, finally. What people tell me, particularly on the internet, particularly in this day and age, you can make lots of claims about things, but the ultimate question is, I want to know all the details before I'm going to make an opinion on something.
Right.
If you tell me, the president is an evil megalomaniac, who's only interested in the propagation of his own self-interest, I need to see that. Now that, unfortunately, is what I also believe, because what he's shown me in the past and currently is he's very motivated by what is best for him. And maybe there are a group of other people that help to convince him to certain topics, ideas, what have you. But one of the things I've always complained about regarding him is when you're for him, you're his best friend, absolute best friend, can't do any wrong, perfect person. When you disagree about even the smallest thing, you're enemy number one. And there's got to be a nuance in there.
That's good.
good, right?
Well, that's the thinking, but I'm not so sure it's good.
Right.
But you
The
know, if
flow
you
of
tell me
energy
that,
out
you know,
is still
Donald Trump wears a
extremely
diaper and
elevated
shits his
from previous
pants every day,
levels.
I'm not gonna believe
What do
that
you think will happen now?
until proven wrong.
I don't know.
You know,
I'll
you
have
can
to
make up
continue
whatever lie you
investigating to
want
figure
about
that out.
him. You gotta give me a little more proof
Agreed.
than I
Though
think
we
he's a
are
poopy
depending on
pants
Olivia's team
whiny
for many
loser.
of those answers.
You know, there's
In the
more.
meantime, we could
There's
continue to monitor each region for any anomalies.
there's ridiculousness, and then there is, okay, maybe he is
Right. Let's
incontinent.
get to it.
I can't say that for certain. I don't know that. Does that make him a worse person? No. But, you know, I'm not gonna assume all of the rumors that I always hear about everything because I heard it on the news, so it must be true. All right, we're gonna go fight. We're now gonna do the Wud fight. Luckily, I have a little tent here set up. Looks like right next to the fight. Unless he's on a different level, I should just basically walk out the door from my tent, and he should be there, or close to it, anyways. All right, maximum might. Wow, he's literally right outside my door. Never mind. Oh, good, he's frenzied.
Understood.
The thing that's kind of weird to me about these frenzied monsters, maybe this is true of other Monster Hunters, because I've never played necessarily played a game that has frenzied monsters in it, because I've only played World, but not Iceborne, and I've played Rise, but not Sunbreak. Not that there's anything wrong with those games, I never bought Iceborne and never played it. Because I got distracted by Generations Ultimate, and then I got distracted by Rise, and then after Rise I got distracted by every other game I've played on this channel. And possibly others. So I have to go back and get healed up here. I don't have any null berries. And as you can see, the frenzy, despite the fact that I'm not taking any more hits, continues to build regardless. So I need null berries, and I don't currently have them. So I'm just going to kind of collect these. And then I'm going to go in my little tent, and we're going to grab some null berries. Hooray. There we go. Add some null berries. Now we're good to go. I don't think there's anything more I need. Oh, yep, hot drink. That's smart. Get that out. I'm not going to use any demon shit right now. Demon powder. Okay, this is my opinion. I'm not a Monster Hunter guru by any stretch of imagination. But here's my thought on the armor power-ups, okay? If you are individually fighting a monster, okay? You either use the demon drought or the mega demon drought, i.e. the full potion mess drink. If you're using powders, you better be playing multiplayer, and what you should be doing is probably playing some sort of, I don't want to say support role, because you can definitely play any class and this works, but I think this works really well for Sword and Shield. If you're, say, a dual blade character, you can do this as well. A couple other classes probably work well with this. Hunting Horn probably doesn't need this, because Hunting Horn, depending on what it is, what horn you're running, has the ability to make that buff. Where am I going with this? Oh, right. I think the powder is important because you throw it up in the air and it affects anyone that's standing in vicinity. So, and how much it costs to create powder, it just seems like a bit of a waste to use it in regular non-multiplayer Monster Hunter. Because it'll work, you know, the Super Demon Drop is going to work just as well as a demon powder, in my imagination anyways. I don't know for certain, maybe it's a little more powerful to use the powder because it's obviously harder to make. But that's sort of what I'm getting at. You gotta make, first of all, you gotta make the demon drop, then you gotta make Mega Demon Drop, then you have to make the powder, or some variation thereof. There's like an extra step or two in there in terms of creating the powder itself. Also, is it just me or are frenzy monsters easier to fight than regular monsters? Like, they hit harder, they can give you frenzy bars, which kind of makes it annoying because you can't heal. You gotta watch that shit. But like, they don't seem to take all that long to kill, which is kind of weird to me. Anyways, we're gonna carve up the Yankaku here, which we just finished doing. And then we're going to head back to base. I'll go talk to Mr. Wudwud. And we'll be back next time to do a different hunt. So until then, I hope you guys all have a good one.